Welcome to Compassionate Cultures, the podcast. You're about to go on a journey of empathy, understanding, and transformation. Get ready to dive into the heart of humanity's most pressing questions with me, Rebbecca Hemmings, the CEO of Strawberry Words Training Consultancy, and guests. It's time to turn up the volume on kindness and to amplify the voices of minorities that often go unheard. This podcast asks questions like, how can we create workplaces where ethnic minorities thrive without the chains of career stagnation? What if universities were safe havens for all, free from the storm of microaggressions? And how can we bridge the gaps between cultures that have been divided by the walls of bias and ignorance? This is not just a podcast. This is a revolution of empathy. Welcome to Compassionate Cultures, the podcast. Get ready to explore, learn, and change the world one compassionate conversation at a time. Right, so what you're about to see is really exciting. It's a clip from the Health and Wellbeing show at work at the NEC, where I talk about racial microaggressions. So in this, you're going to learn lots because this is often something I share during training sessions and certainly obviously when I give talks. You're not going to get everything. I'll just be totally upfront with you right now, but you will get a good amount. And so by the time you come out of this, you'll be very clear on what constitutes a racial microaggression. Also, I go through the 5 Ds of resistance. So these are the 5 Ds that I've come up with that are typical reactions, defensive reactions that come up when talking about race and racism, okay? And I bring that up just to kind of forewarn people, because they're gonna get all these feelings and emotions will come up. It's just to say, look, they're gonna come up, this is what you can do with them, this is how you can make them useful, all right? So I'll talk about that. And then I give plenty of examples of what microaggressions look like, racial microaggressions. So as I said, you're not going to get everything, but it'll give you a good amount. So make sure you've got a pen and paper to hand, or your laptop, or whatever it is you need to take notes, because you'll be learning lots. All right, here we go. Yeah? Okay, so I think it's time to begin. Your hair's beautiful. Can I touch it? Oh, Winston at my tennis club. He's Jamaican. Do you know him? Where are you from? No, where are you really from? So today we're talking about racial microaggressions. So hello, my name's Rebbecca Hemmings and I'm the director of Strawberry Words. We're a training consultancy based here in Birmingham, and we like to have conversations about race, culture and identity. Essentially what we do is we help to develop humans and human relationships, and we like to help organizations manage difficult conversations, particularly around race, but around diversity of all sorts. And so today, how today's going to work is I'll talk to you about what racial microaggressions are, give you a little bit of an insight into how we deliver training, and then I've got a short quiz for you, so make sure you're listening. And then towards the end, there'll be a short Q&A session. And just in case I forget to say at the end, we're at stand 22, so feel free to come and visit us. And also towards the end, we have some 10 tips on managing difficult conversations. So please do grab one of those. Chantal there is helping me out, and you can grab them from her. So, racial microaggression. So the term microaggression was originally coined by the Harvard University professor Chester M. Pierce in the 1970s. And initially it was used to describe insults against black people, and then it was then widened out to use towards any insults towards any marginalized group. So that's still the case today. But if I could go back to him, I would say, please call it something else, because the micro part suggests to people that microaggressions don't cause that much damage, and that can cause you to internalize that as a minoritized person. And also using the aggression part of the word, we don't like to believe that we're bad people. We like to believe we're good people as human beings. So it's just not helpful at times. Do come in. There's a seat here and a seat over there. So before I continue, it's important for me to say we're having a conversation about race, and that's never easy. One of the most common questions I get is, how do you make conversations about race more comfortable? I just think as a society, we're just not there yet. So at times it might get uncomfortable. And what we like to remind people of are the 5 Ds that sometimes show up when having conversations about race. And they are defense. Sometimes there can be an urge to get defensive. Oh, no, I don't have a racist bone in my body type thing. Or denial. Oh, no, that sort of stuff doesn't really happen. There can be a desire to discredit people. Oh, well, you know, that group of people, they're violent anyway. Or there can be a tendency to downplay or to justify people's positions. Or there can be a tendency to deflect and change the subject. You know, oh, well, what about so-and-so? So if any of those Ds come up for you today, rather than go with it, question why that's come up for you, because there's a lot of learning in that discomfort. So we like to have those open conversations. So let's get into what racial microaggressions are. So microaggressions in themselves, they're words, they are actions that communicate to ethnic minorities, because we're talking about racial microaggressions, that they are, and this is the piece to hang on to, that they're invisible, they're unwelcome, and they're incapable of performing well and untrustworthy, okay? So if there's anything that you hang on to today is this bit. Microaggressions communicate to ethnic minorities that they're not welcome here, we don't see you, we think you're stupid, and we don't trust you. And often they come from a really good place, so they're not meant to be insults. So what I'll do is I'll go through the 3 different types of microaggressions, and I'll explain why there are microaggressions. So you've got micro assaults. So micro assaults, they are verbal and non-verbal attacks intended to cause harm, usually done in private. So this is more your overt form of racism. However, it's the private nature of it that makes it a microaggression. So as an example, somebody calling me the N-word, but knowing that no one else can hear what's being said. Or let's say in a lecture, the lecturer makes an Islamophobic comment, knowing there's a Muslim student present, for example. So it's very intentional, but there's a privacy to it. So a kind of sneakiness to it. So there's very much an acknowledgement that I know what I'm doing. Then there are micro insults. Yeah, nobody wants to feel as though they don't belong. So that's one example. Mispronouncing a name after being corrected is another one. So there are a lot of foreign sounding names or unusual sounding names that are used. And we take the time to learn very difficult words. We can take the time to learn someone's names because people's identities are really important to them. Also calling somebody the wrong name that is common for that culture. So calling Mohammed, Abdul, or calling Alicia, Kyla. Again, it just basically says that I don't really care about your actual name, but you're all very similar. And again, this is not to say it's always intentional. Sometimes it is, many times it isn't, okay? And then the final type of microaggression is a micro-invalidation. Now, I know you'll have all heard this one because it's commonly said, and that is, I don't see skin color. And often why that's said is because somebody wants to communicate that I'm not racist.
Hey, I know you're enjoying the podcast episode, but I just want to quickly come in and say, look, if you're an organization that needs anti-racism training for your organization because your staff are lacking in a racial literacy, they don't have the words, they get stuck when talking about racism, they want to be able to deal with incidents, but they're not sure how to, then check out our Time to Talk About Race online CPD accredited course at strawberrywords.co.uk. Okay, we can train from 10 to 10,000, but get in touch today at admin@strawberrywords.co.uk. Now back to the episode.
So the intention is good, but what we have to remember is that impact trumps intention. Impact trumps intention. So no matter how well intended a behavior or a statement was, it's the impact, how that was felt, that counts the most. So let me break down why I don't see skin color is a micro-invalidation. By the way, I should have said, micro-invalidation is when a comment is made or when an action is taken that dismisses the experience of historically disadvantaged group members. So let's use myself as an example. When I wake up in the morning, I don't go, oh, I'm looking rather black this morning. Or when I'm brushing my teeth, oh yeah, I'm still black. Like, I don't think about my skin color. I'm just me. I'm Rebecca. I'm mum. It's only when I turn on the TV and I see the latest racist incident, Diane Abbott, or when I go to my local supermarket and I'm followed around, or I'm trying to find tights in my skin color, or, you know, I can't find a card that looks like the image of my nan that I'm reminded, oh yeah, it's because I'm black. So the world tells me who I am every single day, regardless of whether I choose to go around saying I'm black or not. The world tells me that. So that's very much a part of my identity, whether I choose that to be the case or not. So when somebody says, I don't see your skin color, essentially what's being said is, can you hide that whole part of you to do with race and racism? Because it makes me feel really uncomfortable. But how do you do that? That's a part of your experience. So it's very difficult. All right, that's enough of that. You know, as I said, you weren't going to get the whole thing, but I shared lots, right? Okay. So hopefully now you're in a better position to understand what microaggressions are, what racial microaggressions are, and what they look like. And if you want more of an education around what they are, go through the podcast episodes, because there are plenty of episodes on microaggressions. If anybody knows me, I'm really passionate about them. And the reason for that is because I think on a day-to-day basis, it's through racial microaggressions that ethnic minorities, or the global majority, experience racism more because they're daily occurrences. And I laugh, and I don't mean to, they're certainly not funny. They have an impact, and so I think it's really important. It's a life skill. Once when leading training at Cambridge University, somebody had said to me, learning about microaggressions is a life skill. I was like, oh yeah, of course it's a life skill, because not only do you learn how to interact with people within a workplace, within an educational setting, but in life, you know, nobody wants to go around. I'm pretty sure most people don't want to go around insulting or offending people, but we're just not talking about them enough. So hence the reason I like talking about them. But that's enough from me. Thank you for tuning in. As always, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what else you would like me to cover on this podcast via Spotify or our website, strawberrywords.co.uk. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.